Trivium has a new EP coming out called Struck Dead. It drops on Halloween, October 31st of this year. Let's wake up the neighbors and talk all about it, Derek.
Yeah, let's do this. So we got our hands on this 3-song juggernaut monster extravaganza. It is a Jekyll and Hyde experience, I think. I think that's a fair way to put it. If you are an old fan of Trivium, it is going to tickle all the right places. And if you are a fan of the newer Trivium stuff, I suspect it will also make you quite happy. So I think Mr. Heafy took some notes, paid attention, took notes as to what people are into, and combined the two worlds.
Yeah, there's some great surprises on this record. Bury Me With My Screams, the single is already out, so that's a known quantity now. But for me, I said this when we talked about it the last time, that's top tier Trivium. It's got great production, it's great songwriting, real super riffy. It's got some nice melodics. Heafy's vocals are great. They're really varied. You get some aggro vocals. You get some nice, clean stuff. So it, like you said, scratched a lot of my itches, that one track. And Alex Bent, who was with the band for 9 years, his playing on these tracks is phenomenal. It's so good. And we'll get into Alex later, but I'm rather disappointed that he's not going to be around anymore.
Yeah, everything has its time. But let's talk about the high water mark that he left us. We've talked a lot about the fact that, again, bands are returning this year to sound that is familiar for fans. And with Struck Dead, Pain is easier to remember. My favorite track. Very, very fast gunfire. To a war within, to your ears. Massive sing-along chorus. It's like, holy Jekyll and Hyde. Heafy goes from grunting and groaning and growling his way through the bridge of the track to this massive sing-along chorus. And it's like, holy shit, where's this Trivium been over the last, decade?
Yeah, that one stuck out to me too. It starts off real hard, real fast, and just a couple of bars in, they make a sort of tonal shift in terms of, the chords they're using, and it switches to almost like an uplifting or hopeful feel for a couple of bars. And it's a great contrast to the dark start to the track, and it bounces back and forth, as you said. And Alex's monster drums provide this fantastic counterpoint to the riffs that these guys are coming up with. It's a really great formula, and one that I hope carries on down, whatever the future is for Trivium.
1 second, Heafy sounds like a demon on the track, and the next he sounds like an optimistic saint. And again, nothing has, and this isn't to say that Trivium's music over the last decade hasn't been good. I just felt like Ascendancy and The Crusade were just so good that everything after that has been kind of, it's okay, it's good, it's Trivium, but it wasn't those records. These 3 songs, for me, sit nicely with the first 2 records. And again, they're just, the songwriting is a little bit more ambitious than the first 2 records, and the trade-off between the sing-along choruses and then the demonic, grunting, groaning, and growling his way through the bridges is so disparate from each other that it really, really works.
Well, the metalcore genre is, some of the hallmarks are that, chuggy, I don't want to say traditional metal, but metal broken up by very melodic, like you said, sing-along choruses. And while I would never consider, and people may argue this point, please throw it in the comments if you feel differently, I wouldn't put Trivium in a metalcore genre. Or, if anything, Trivium makes up a subgenre within metalcore for, real badass stuff. But they, like I said, that formula works for them, and it's on display here in these 3 tracks.
What's funny about Trivium is the algorithm spits out Killswitch Engage 1 second for them, and then Suicide Silence as another recommended band to listen to. And those are 2 very different bands. And I would say Trivium does kind of fall a little bit in between there. The bridges of the songs, Heafy sounds like he could be singing with Suicide Silence. And then the next second, during the choruses, he probably could slide into Killswitch Engage, no problem. And so it's a really great contrast. And the track as a whole, there's a great whirling guitar solo. It's just an all-out assault to the fretboard on this track, and I love the guitar solos and the guitar work on the second half of the track.
Yeah, it's as close to top tier as you can get. I mean, it's really great. The third track, Six Walls Surround Me, is another just banger of a track. I really wanted more than just 3 songs on this EP. I found myself just immediately like, God, no, I want to go back to or go on to track 4, and there is no track 4. So it's a big tease, but it's a great tease. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's 17 minutes plus of just, for me, it was pure joy. And
Yeah.
I love the classic acoustic guitar that was at the beginning of Six Walls Surround Me.
Yep.
It's just so talented. Again, Testament did that on Parabellum. They're doing it here. It just sounds great. And then the bridge of the track is more of Heafy's gore and demonic, venom spitting, which is fantastic. He sounds like a full-on carnivore. Like, it doesn't matter if it's human bodies or dogs or whales or whatever, he's going to eat it during the bridge of this track. Zombie-like, and then the chorus kicks in and flies. It's just this big sound, again, that stadium would love to sing along to.
Yeah, no doubt. If you're a fan of the melodic vocals, that this song, Six Walls Surround Me, is definitely going to land well with you. I like it for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is they do some cool odd time signature stuff throughout the track. There is a middle break that is so cool. It's kind of like, I referenced this a few episodes back. It's kind of like metal disco. And again, we're fortunate to have heard this before it gets released next week. So I don't want to dissuade anybody from listening to it by calling this break a metal disco break, but it is just the coolest. It's got this great feel and pattern to it, not overly intricate, but super effective, super powerful. It doesn't take over the whole song, but it sits really nicely as a stop along the musical journey of the song. And again, it's another opportunity. It's another opportunity for Alex Bent to really showcase his great flourish ability. He's a great timekeeper in the sense that, yes, he can write great drum parts along with the guitar parts that have already been written. But he is very, very talented at throwing in these great little punctuations throughout that contrast with what's happening with the rest of the song. If you want to, I'll make a non-genre or non-musical style comparison here. Alex Bent is like the John Densmore of this era. John Densmore was the drummer for The Doors, and you can listen to their stuff, and Densmore would punctuate around the drum kit after Jim Morrison would spit out some vocals. And Alex does the same thing here in a really strong metal style. And he's such a great drummer, and I'm so bummed that he's not going to be around anymore. Not to keep bringing it up, but it's news. If you're into Trivium, the drummer leaving is kind of a big deal. He's been a mainstay for 8 or 9 years. Now, the guy that they've got coming in replace him, at least for tour, is Grayson Newkreutman. Played with Suicidal Tendencies, Sepultura. So, I mean, he is definitely a tested and great drummer who's got tons of chops, and I'm sure he'll do very well. But it's just a big question mark. Bent leaving the band is a big mystery to any of us who have any interest in this sort of thing.
Well, all I know is you better go see them live, and they are from Orlando, so usually their tours are going to hit Florida. And you can go and judge.
Yeah.
One more note on Six Walls Surround Me.
Yes.
It sounds, again, like, to me, the Crusade, songs like Ignition and Detonation. The difference is the songwriting's just better because they've had years of experience, but and the production quality is also way better. And I'm curious, what is your take on production on the record?
It's really, really strong. It was mixed and mastered by Josh Wilbur, and Josh has worked with a ton of high-end bands, and I've got just a few here I can run down. 2 albums with Korn, The Serenity of the Suffering and The Nothing. Lamb of God's Wrath, Resolution, 7, Lamb of God and Omens, Megadeth, Dystopia, The Sick, The Dying, and the Dead, Trivium, of course, a bunch of albums there, Gojira, Bench Sevenfold, Parkway Drive, A Day to Remember, Hatebreed, Killer Be Killed, Motionless in White, The Dillinger Escape Plan. So this guy, as a producer and an engineer, is top level too. And that is all over these tracks. It's really clean. It's punchy where it needs to be. It's smooth where it needs to be. Again, I hate to say top tier again and again and again, but I think it's accurate. It's an extremely well done EP. My biggest complaint with it is that there's just not more of it.
Yeah, it would have definitely been a top 10 for me. It feels like they just took the top 3 songs that they had written and just put them on an EP and was like, let's just show off and knock everybody's socks off and then add all 3 songs to our set list, which you can't go wrong with it. And so for fans of Trivium, you're going to be happy. You're going to love it. If you're not a fan of Trivium, listen to it. Seriously.
Yeah, the EP coincides with the start of their North American tour, so they will be on the road soon, no doubt coming to a city right near you or to nowhere near you.
Yeah, and also, the artwork on it is absolutely fantastic. And that's one thing that I really appreciate about the band is all of their artwork has always been very, very creative. And it's...
You're an album cover guy for sure.
I do. I like holding, I've got my vinyl back here. I don't have a ton of vinyl. A lot of it's old. Like I've got old Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil. It's the only Motley Crue I have. But I like it. I like the Hysteria, Def Leppard album. I've got tons of Max Cavalera, tons of Slayer, tons of Typo Negative, obviously. But I like looking at a cool cover and artwork, especially on vinyl. But yeah, this is something I would definitely, I probably will pick up on vinyl just because the artwork's cool. The 3 songs are great. And I'm sure that even the inside packaging will be absolutely fantastic as well.
Well, you and I came up in an era where music was physical. You had to go buy it. The only other place you were getting it was on the radio. And you were rarely, if ever, going to hear an entire album. So if you wanted it, you went and bought it. And some of the nostalgia is, those memories of going to the record store and flipping through the vinyl or even getting the cassettes or CDs, bringing them home and hoping that the inside like folded out and folded out and folded out. So it wasn't just a single fold.
Yeah.
And we don't get that unless you buy vinyl. And frankly, if you really want to support a band these days, buy the vinyl. Yes, buy the merch and go see them on tour and all that. But they're not making money by their music, their artwork being on Spotify and on streaming. They don't get paid. They get next to nothing. They get paid, but it's very, very little. An artist isn't going to support themselves just by streaming. A sizable chunk of a band or a musician's income is based on physical product. So if you want to support your favorite band, buy their vinyl, buy their merch.
Yeah. I remember going to Tracks on Wax in Northport, Long Island as a kid, seeing my grandparents, my uncles, and my aunts, and going down there and looking at physical, tapes and then CDs. And obviously vinyl was still a part of that experience there all throughout my childhood. And then when I was back in Vermont, I would go to the Dartmouth bookstore at Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire, and they had a whole basement full. And again, they had tapes, they had records, and then eventually CDs, but vinyl was always part of it. And then upstairs they had comic books. So it was like, can't lose. It was my mecca. And I would go and I'd work at Ben and Jerry's and then or work at Stinson's store and don't tell anybody, but my grandfather worked there and he'd be like, the beers in the beer cooler that have dents, they need to be taste tested. And I'm like, but I'm 13 years old doing that, getting half in the bag and then taking my whole paycheck over to the Dartmouth bookstore and buying comics and vinyl. But yeah, we grew up in a great time. It was awesome. And it just goes back to holding physical, cool things with great artwork.
Yeah, so to loop that back around, this is vinyl that you'll be buying if it's offered.
Yeah, I will look and see on Friday when it comes out and see if it's available. I haven't looked yet to see if it's pre-orderable. Pre-orderable, is that a word?
It is now.
I will certainly do it.
There's not a whole lot more to say other than if you like Trivium even a little, you're probably going to love this EP. I've had it on repeat, and I'm so grateful that we have the opportunity to get some of this stuff early. Because it's been nonstop for the last week or so. It's such great stuff. I would love to put snippets of all these songs in here, but we can't. YouTube,
No.
one, YouTube doesn't like copyrighted material, and two, it's not released yet, so we certainly can't do that. But if you're excited about the album, throw a comment down below, throw a thumbs up on the video. We appreciate everybody who subscribes to the channel. It's helping us grow, so thank you for that. But yeah, let us know what you think about Trivium. Are you excited to hear it? Do you? What's your take on the Alex Bent thing? I'm curious to hear what people think about that too. So drop those comments as well.
I am curious what, because I think we have enough of a following now. If there is anything, any bands that you're passionate about, it doesn't have to be an established band. It can be an underground band. It can be a local band to you that you think is awesome. Send it our way. We'll gladly review it. We'll gladly interview the band. If, again, we really just do this if we really like the music.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Generally the rule of thumb for us is if we can't get into it, we probably won't. But that's not to say if there's a great story behind the band or they're an up and comer, whatever it is, send it our way. We will listen to it. We listen to everything that the record labels send to us and give everything a fair shake. We just kind of post whatever suits our fancy and that we get into.
Well, that, and unfortunately, we just don't have enough time to hit all the stuff that we want to hit.
Yeah. We have real jobs, and I have kids, and I've got 8 million pets as well, and so...
to the point that we don't get to listen, much less review everything. We have to throw a shout out to our friend Dan Lorenzo and Johnny Kelly and all the guys in Patriarchs in Black. They had an album drop a while ago. We have not had a chance to get it, get it under our belt yet. And Johnny and Dan, they are friends of the podcast. They're great guys, come up with great music, and we have been remiss in not getting their any press out for their latest record. So we will have to do that here sooner than later because they are good guys and they do good work.
Yeah, and I blame Dan because he I think I had said once he rolls out of bed and jizzes riffs, and it's I think Johnny said, what is this, a Cialis commercial, or a Hims commercial or whatever. But, the dude really does. He has said that he wakes up in the middle of the night with a riff in his head and will get out of bed, jot it down, record it. And he does. He's constantly living, breathing, Black Sabbath-y metal. And again, he gets mad that I call it rock and roll, but there is there's a little bit of Led Zeppelin in there, a little bit of Kiss, a little bit of everything, not just metal with what they do. And but they are great guys, and we apologize, Dan and Johnny, for just not having the time.
Dan, get ready, we're coming for you, buddy. All right, with that, well, good stuff, man.
Struck us dead, and we like it. So Trivium on Friday, make sure you get it on Halloween the 1st. Get put on your whatever suit you're wearing. I'll be wearing a Frankenstein outfit and scaring the heck out of children who are coming for goodies, and I'm looking forward to it. But I will be listening to Struck Dead while wearing some ear pods while I'm Frankenstein.
Nice. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, you too.
We will see you guys on the next one.